We do have an extraordinary opportunity. We have an extraordinary opportunity not only because we have great need, not only because we got a great idea, but because we got the big mo. I was just talking to John Houseman here earlier about what the big mo was. And I said, well, it's mojo, of course. And he said, well, no, I thought it was momentum. Well, yeah, but maybe it's also money. Indeed, we have all of this. We have magic, we have momentum, we have money. The voters made sure that we had the money to address this problem when they, in November '08, voted remarkably to pass a half-cent sales tax. That's $40 billion over 30 years. Just to give you a little perspective on that, that was a 67.8% vote. Now, Los Angeles County had voted a half-cent sales tax for transportation in 1980, 50.1% vote. They had also voted for a half-cent sales tax in 1990, 50.6% vote. In those days, you didn't yet need 2/3. Imagine had they not done that then. We would have no transit system in Southern California to speak of. It would be a world of hurt out there. What we realized, what Terry and I realized, and Diane, as we were sitting, Diane Forte over here, as we were sitting at the Snug Harbor, is that we had 3 million more people going to live here in 30 years. We were at gridlock. Gasoline was at $4 a gallon. And LA Metro had $0 billion to address this need. $0 billion. Now, $0 billion doesn't divide very far. Doesn't build very much. We began fighting initially for the subway of the sea because the seminal moment in our history here was really the election of Mayor Villaraigosa. Mayor Villaraigosa, when he ran for office, he articulated a transit vision. He said it would be his priority. We said, when we got together at Snug Harbor, we have to figure out how to make that real. You know, mayors are not kings. They don't wave wands and make things happen. Mayors are leaders. They need constituencies. Constituencies move politics. That's what we had to do. We had to gather the business community, the labor community, the environmental community together into a coalition. And that's exactly what we did. We put together LA Chamber of Commerce, LA Business Council, LA Biz Federation, Valley Industry and Commerce Association, Central City Association, Beverly Hills Chamber, Miracle Mile Chamber, in the same room together with LA County Federation of Labor, LA Building Trades, IBEW, AFSCME, iron workers, steel workers, sheet metal workers, all in the same room together with Environment Now, Sierra Club, NRDC, Coalition for Clean Air, and we created American Lung Association and others, Transit Association. Where's Bart Reed? I see Bart here earlier. Transit Coalition. We put together these organizations into a coalition for Measure R. And they were skeptical at first, but they saw the need. They got more skeptical in September when the economy crashed, but they stayed with it. They provided their money and their support, and the voters came through. 67.8% vote in the teeth of the worst recession since the Great Depression. And now we have an opportunity. We woke up the next day and said, oh my God, they've done it. Then we said, oh my God, 30 years. You know, we need this now. Not just because we have congestion, gridlock, literally gridlock, but also because this was the #1 thing we could do to fight climate change. It was the #1 thing we could do to fight air pollution. It was the #1 thing we could do to revive our economy. This program had so many #1s all over it, it had to be made to happen. And that was when we undertook to promote something called the National Infrastructure Bank, which was the first suggestion of how we might find innovative financing. You know, bonding against the revenue stream is very familiar to city officials and county officials, but the real challenge here is how do you get cheap money, low interest money. You bond normally, you pay 30–40% of your money in interest, and 30–40% of your projects are gone. That creates division and blows the political coalition away. We have to find inexpensive money, and the only place you can do that on a scale of this sort is the federal government. We initially said infrastructure bank was the big idea. That's what we need to do. There was legislation. Rosa DeLauro had offered it in Connecticut. Felix Rahotten, the famous banker from New York, had sponsored it. Chris Dodd, the senator from Connecticut, had championed it and offered the legislation on the Senate side. It was a good idea. We put together a coalition behind that, but that began to look like big lifting given the healthcare battle. So Mayor Villaraigosa's staff, Jaime De La Vega in particular, Metro staff began to put together a different way to get the 3010 plan done. And now we've got legislative language, we've got big opportunity, we've got momentum. We've united now the entire LA County delegation. We've united that delegation. We need their greater enthusiasm. What can you do? You can let Javier Becerra, Linda Sanchez, Lucille Roybal Allard, Adam Schiff, our leaders in Congress on the Ways and Means Committee and on the House Appropriations Committee, you can let them know it's not enough to be a supporter, you must be a champion. You must fight the battle. You can tell Grace Napolitano, you can tell Laura Richardson from Long Beach, our Congress people on the Transportation Committee, it's not enough to be on the letter. It's not enough to be good with the issue. You got to be a champion. You got to take Barbara Boxer and Senator and Congresswoman Harman's lead on this issue and be a champion. We're confident we can deliver California. We have to now mount a national campaign. We have to do it in the face of tremendous political odds. But we've got a good idea here. This is not just a Democratic idea. This is a Republican idea. It is so simple. $25 billion from the federal government can make $600 billion in loans. And the federal government doesn't have to raise taxes for that small amount, doesn't even have to go deeply in debt for that small amount, because it's secured by our revenue. This is a way of mobilizing local revenue to do what local governments do, build infrastructure. It's a new model for the federal government. They become a lender, not a spender. That's what 3010 is about. We have to restate 3010 so it appeals to the nation, not just to our community. And that's the work that's being done. We have to keep our coalition together. Last week, I met with the leadership of the LA Chamber of Commerce, LA County Federation of Labor, LA BizFed, LA Business Council, and we began to map out our efforts nationally. We're going to identify the states with the major cities that can be the primary beneficiaries from this kind of program, or who have members in the key committees in Congress. And we're going to send the chamber and the business community to their business community and build their support. We're going to take the Labor Federation to go to their labor community to build their support. We're going to take the environmental community, Move LA, and we're going to go meet with the environmentalists in Omaha and build their support. In cities all around America, the opportunity we see for ourselves become an opportunity we share with them. They will see this as a national template, where the federal government does not have to blow its deficit, doesn't even have to raise taxes significantly, if at all, to do this, because we're relying upon the efforts of local leadership, and the federal government will be our lender, not a spender, our uncle, not our father, or either parent for that matter. That's the model of what we're creating. It's a new idea for the federal government. They've got small loan programs. This is a bigger loan program. They've got existing programs that can do it. We've got to make it more robust. This is a good idea. It's an idea that appeals naturally, and it's an idea that sells itself, and the need is great. This is how we rebuild America. This is how we rebuild Los Angeles. This is how we will fight climate change in our lifetime. This kind of program will mobilize an infrastructure renewal in America if we do our job. That's what we're here for. That's what Move LA is about. What we do, we convene the coalition. We convene the business community. We convene the labor community. We convene the environmental community with Metro, with Mayor Villaraigosa's office, with the congressional leadership, to make sure that the constituency leadership necessary so that elected officials can do their job has the constituency parade they need. That's what we are doing, and with your help, we'll continue to do it, and we'll do it successfully. In my view, we have to hatch a lame duck session strategy, and that's what we're about. Thank you very much for your time today.